I know you guys are like, they're back. They said they were gone. No, we're here just at least for some summertime conversations for you to keep the vibe going, to keep the movement going, to keep the
Yes.
energy flowing.
Yes.
So we figured we drop a couple of summertime conversations for you all during this time, and like I said, make you feel good, about what's going
Right.
on and what's happening.
Hmm.
So we got our summertime conversations on Feeling Good with myself, Grace, and
Myself, Kaniqua.
yay! So today's episode, we're going to be looking at the amazing, great, awesome, wonderful, if you can see from my shirt, holiday Juneteenth. And we're going to dive into, definitely got to tell you a little bit about what's it about, what it
Yes.
means to us,
Hmm.
what it looks like in the future, how it's been represented, all that good stuff. So it's going to be a dialogue between Kaniqua and I. We're just going to kind of, you know, bend each other's ear to see what we think about, this good and great holiday called Juneteenth.
Yes.
So, for this series, oh, let me make sure I tell you all this. For this summer series, we're going to emphasize also Black joy and relaxation from different angles. And so, as mentioned, like I said, we're going to talk about the relevance of the Juneteenth holiday, as this also an expression of Black joy and agency. And so, to get us started, Juneteenth is, if you didn't know, an annual holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. So, Kanika, you had a couple questions you wanted to throw out there. What you got for us?
Yes. I want to know how you've been celebrating yourself this summer. How have you been enjoying and truly living your best life this summer?
So, as of like right now, I'm currently in the Windy City, the second city, also known as the Shy, Chicago, doing some research, getting some stuff done for my book that I'm working on, looking at the comic book lens, looking at Bronzeville, which is here in Chicago, uh, doing some diving in the work of Jackie Orms, and
Mm.
just kind of enjoying the city and enjoying a little bit of a what we call a break, because when you're an academic, breaks mean different
It's a
things.
relative. Yeah.
It's relative.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Definitely.
but yeah, so just enjoying, doing some research in the city, enjoying, a little bit of a break off from the classroom and just kind of, soaking it all in. So
Yeah.
far the summer is going good. I can't complain. What about you?
Good, good. I think this, well, I'm not in Chicago. I'm in Baltimore right now with some of my best friends and, just enjoying life. And of course, every morning I have to dedicate it to writing because I'm working on my book too on, the Doja School for Boys and juvenile justice, the criminal justice system and mass incarceration. But I have been taking time and really enjoying the people around me
Hmm.
and really like having fun, even though we're working and doing whatever, just really enjoying the community. Because with COVID, sometimes we're a bit isolated because we're not really supposed to, social distance, not really supposed to be out like that.
Right.
Fortunately enough, I was vaccinated, just as you have been vaccinated.
Hmm.
So it has been really good for me to just get out and be around my people to just, feel connected out, just to feel outside of myself. And I've been reading some fun books. I've been reading Mary Monroe. So
So
it's a good.
yes. What else? What else? Oh, how have you been celebrating your blackness? Because we talking about the summer, but how about
That's
your
true.
blackness in particular? How have you been celebrating that?
Well, I've been celebrating my blackness, I guess, the same way, like amongst my black community, like
Mhm.
really which affirms my identity as a black woman.
Yeah.
Getting earrings, that's how I've been celebrating my blackness, and just really just enjoying learning about my people in multiple ways, like, and that includes learning, of course, academically and scholarly, doing research, but also just watching black movies and
Yeah.
learning in that way, in different ways in which black people have creatively expressed our history.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's been fun. What about you?
Same here, just being able to be with family, be with friends,
Yeah.
and really truly get a chance to just kind of like soak in that spending time with them. Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes I know I take for granted, who is around and how I can celebrate with them and be with them. And so, as they say, tomorrow ain't promised. So
Mm-mm.
I've been really enjoying the time with everybody and anybody that I can. While
Right.
also enjoying like just being black. It's just
Yes, just being black.
we don't say it enough. So yeah, that's my celebration of blackness also.
sad. And you know, of course, I told you earlier how my sister just made an impromptu trip to Baltimore. And it was like, what? You're here? So
I love family for that.
I mean, you just love them. Like it was a random conversation. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming to Baltimore." I'm like, "What? Let's hang out." So that has been really good. Just again, like you said, being with family, being around community. So it's really been good. So one thing I also want to ask you: how did you learn, or when did you learn, and when did you learn about Juneteenth?
Yeah, so I knew a little bit about it in back in Champaign, where I'm from,
Mhm.
not to the degree of which I know it now. It was kind
Right,
of
right, right, right.
it was brought up like at a cookout. I remember just someone brought it up because one of my aunts lives in Texas, and she had mentioned it. It was kind of like in passing, not
Right.
necessarily like, "Hey, y'all, we're gonna celebrate Juneteenth today," you know. It was just kind of like, yeah, you know, in Texas and Galveston particularly, as well
Mhm.
know. You know, they had these holidays, these festivals, cookouts, and all these different parades. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
okay. And, you know, I think I did a little bit of digging, but not nearly until I got to college
Right.
at Clark Atlanta. Rep, go Panthers. And
Also, the Panthers, Georgia State represent this one.
you had to plug that in. You had to plug it in.
I mean, just saying, represent Georgia
And
State.
one summer that I was in Atlanta, I saw a flyer on someone's car celebrating Juneteenth. And they were like, there's going to be a Juneteenth festival. There's going to be lots of vendors. There's going to be a parade. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, what is this? You know, because you're
Mm-hmm.
always seeing flyers for everything in Atlanta.
Yes.
So I'm like, what is this? This looks significant. Like, this is just some party. And so
Right.
I looked it up and I was like, oh, this go way deeper than just a cookout. This is on
Right.
like
Right.
my people. And so I, you know, started digging a little bit more, finding out like this was about a message that got lost, essentially.
Yes. Yes.
And you know, of course, once you know, when you get into AFM and when you start, you know, getting around more people who are even more informed, you learn even more. So I think it was like a gradual progression for me of how I learned about Juneteenth. It was definitely not like last year for me. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
been over time that I've gotten to know more about the holiday. So what about you?
You know, I don't even have that much detail about how I found out. I think it was really, I may have heard about it growing up, but we did not emphasize Juneteenth. I
Yeah,
don't feel, and I grew up in College Park, but I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Us really emphasizing Juneteenth until I went to college, when it was like okay, and then even then the African American Studies department at
right.
Georgia State, where it was really like okay, this is what this is. You know, this is a great holiday to celebrate Blackness in our history. Um, so I think it was really college. College actually I found out a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it was where I was really enlightened. But I I don't really have any concrete time where I feel as though I
Yeah.
was exposed to Juneteenth. Like, you know, with other holidays, you can probably be like, okay, elementary school, they told me about Columbus Day or, you know, whatever I heard about Lincoln's birthday and all these different things, you know, and, you know, of course, Black History Month, but
Right.
never really honed in on Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that it wasn't important, it was just at that time, not like today. Like, you know, we know a lot about it today and more people are learning more about it, especially after last year.
Right.
But during that time, it wasn't really, I guess to me and my understanding of what was going on, it wasn't really emphasized. It wasn't like,
And I will add too, what made it become even more clear was when folks were talking about how July 4th is not their independent
that's it.
Juneteenth.
That's it.
And so it was like, what, you know? So knowing that there was like, oh, there's actually you know, an Independence Day that I could celebrate that actually, yes, could relate to me in some sort of fashion.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that was also when it kind of really became even more clear. Like you would see T-shirts that say July 4th crossed out, but June 19th. You know,
Yes. I
yeah,
re-
yeah,
I remember when I was in East Point and I was part of it was the East Point Youth Council,
mhm,
and Miss Sabritha Beasley was over it. And so she would take us to Alabama. And I remember getting that poster of Frederick Douglass
yeah,
about, you know, pretty much what to a Black person is the 4th of July. I remember getting that poster from the, I think it was a civil rights museum in Selma.
hmm,
Was it Montgomery? So in Alabama.
yes,
And that was one of the first times which I was like,
I get it. I get it.
So yeah, that was the time. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. So we're not gonna like inundate you all with too much of the history, because that's what we should also want to find out a little bit. But we want to
Yes.
get you all started. We want to get you off the jump start with you. So
Yeah.
Juneteenth is a portmanteau. It refers to June 19th. So you put the Juneteenth together.
Mm-hmm.
In 1865, the day when the Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas. So let's pause right there real quick. June 19th, 1865. When was the Emancipation Proclamation? When did that come out?
It came into effect January 1st, 1863.
Ooh, so we're talking about 2 years, over 2 years, that this message didn't get to 250,000 enslaved folks, that they were free. So for 2 years, they were getting some additional labor.
Right.
The message
Right.
didn't get passed. And so I've heard, a reference that we'll talk about later, High on the Hog. If you all have not seen that, episode 4, they mention how there's different, rumors as to what happened.
Yeah.
Some say the guy who was sending the message was killed. Some say there was a purposely being, a purposeful meaning of being delayed. It was intentional.
Right.
A couple of reasons why.
And I think one of the things that I heard was that it was the agricultural, something with agriculture, and they wanted to hey, we need to keep them because we need them for our work.
For 2 more years, though. 2 more years. Yeah. So,
not one season, but several.
Several seasons. Yeah.
Several seasons.
So, yeah. So June 19th, 1865. The good folk, the Union troops out in Texas just didn't get that message. Just didn't get the message, and but it would also become to known not just as Juneteenth, but Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, Liberation Day, and kind of like a reclaiming Emancipation Day.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And one thing I want to add to that is even while this time where people were still enslaved, people in other areas were celebrating January 1st. Like, oh wow, so that was the beginning of watch night services, and that we all go to, some of us go to watch night. I get really tired around like 10:30. But watch night services are really in honor of celebrating our freedom on January 1st in 1863, of course. But it's the annual celebration. Right. And also, I found out from one of my friends that and also my dad, he talked about Emancipation Day in Thomaston. So at the same time we have a Juneteenth, we also had I think it was May 29th, May 30th, my birthday, but I think it was May 29th, 1865, where they celebrated.
Right.
So, that was in Georgia.
It's important for us to talk about our freedom. It's important for us to talk about when we really truly were liberated. That's a part of Black joy, is knowing that I'm free, and knowing that I'm free to do what I need to do, be who I want to be unshackled. If you notice, you'll see a lot of flyers for Juneteenth with this unshackling, chains are released.
Right, exactly.
So then when we also think about Juneteenth as a holiday, I moved to Virginia last year. And so it was pretty much, I would say, the height of people talking about Juneteenth. All of a sudden it became this thing oh my God, we're going to celebrate Juneteenth. And, it's this holiday has been around for a while. This isn't the first year, that, right?
Right.
But everything that was happening, I think the presence became even more noticeable that we should be talking about Juneteenth. So again, like I said, moved to Virginia last year and ended up finding out that Virginia, the governor declared Juneteenth as a holiday, as a paid, state holiday. So people do not have to go to work. So it's treated just like Labor Day, 4th of July, Memorial Day. And I have my reasons why I think he did it. If anybody knows about the governor of Virginia, Governor Northam, and what's going on, some stuff.
You get an idea.
I have my reasons why I think, he definitely was pushing to make that happen. But nonetheless, it exists and it is here. And considering Virginia is known as the Commonwealth of the South, or the capital of the Confederacy and, Commonwealth of the South, that's significant. To have Juneteenth as a national holiday. So I would also then later learn that maybe not every state is recognizing it in that sense,
Oh,
but pretty
mm-mm.
much all the states except three recognize Juneteenth in some sort of fashion. So
Mhm.
Hawaii, North Dakota, and South Dakota are the only three states do not in some form
Mhm.
observe or celebrate or acknowledge Juneteenth. So yeah, it was pretty
That's
interesting.
very interesting. That
Yeah,
is very interesting. But the thing is, at this point, it should be a national holiday.
yeah,
It is our freedom. Like, we have this national holiday of July 4th, where, days are off, we're barbecuing, we're doing everything else. But that's not when we were free.
yeah.
What was the name of the poem? The speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July, or Independence Day, or 4th of
What
July?
what is to the Negroes the 4th of July? Yeah. Yep.
Like, that's not our freedom day.
Nope.
So just like we celebrate that freedom, we should celebrate our freedom, and it should be a national holiday. And I think at one point it was put forth to the Senate, but it has yet to reach the House.
Right. That's correct. That's correct. So
And the thing is, by establishing this holiday, it really pretty much requires an acknowledgement of the past.
it does. And that's hard for some people to acknowledge
Hmm.
what took place. People have to get past the denial of like, well, that wasn't me. I understand that. But guess what? It did happen. And we have to
It
acknowledge
happened.
it happened. So yeah. So then we have this idea, definitely there's this racial awakening. So, as we mentioned before, there's a lot more people talking about Juneteenth now. A lot more people celebrating it, bringing it to the forefront.
Mhm.
We're seeing it in TV shows. We're seeing it
Right,
just in regular conversation.
right.
What do you think about that? And, this
I,
kind of awakening.
I think this racial awakening, I'm glad it's happening.
Hmm.
Um, I just want it to not be like a hot button topic,
Yeah.
like a popular conversation. It's not just popular. It's necessary, and it should be constant. Like you said, we've been talking about Juneteenth for a while. Now, granted, we didn't know all about it when we were young, but we've been talking about it for a while. It took the tragedies of 2020 for us to experience this. And again, I don't know if it will have a lasting effect, or
Yeah.
would Juneteenth be celebrated in 10 years? And we'll talk about that later. But I don't want it to become like a hot button issue, like not hot button, but a hot topic or a popular conversation.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um, but I think in order to even deal with that, we have to talk about the fact that, right now there is an attack on discussing race and racism and slavery and things like that in our curriculum from, elementary to high school.
Yep.
And so if that attack continues, will there be still a conversation on Juneteenth? Would there still be this racial awakening that happens every 10 years? Like, how would that look?
Hmm. And I will have to say too, on the flip side of that, I'm excited to see that people are excited to talk about it. I'm
Yeah,
excited
yeah.
that people are wanting to know more about it because people that look like you and me didn't know about it. I've
Mhm.
asked many of my friends, like, uh, what are you doing for Juneteenth? Or have you heard what's going on in the city for Juneteenth? And people are
Yeah,
just learning, about it. So I'm just excited that people want to know,
that's true.
that people are
That
wanting
is true.
to engage with it, because there's often many things that just get dismissed, swept under the rug.
Right.
Nobody ever discusses it. And true, like we definitely have to change up the curriculum. We definitely have to
Mhm.
add it early. Like my students, when they come to VCU, it shouldn't be their first time learning about Juneteenth when they come to my
Right.
classroom. Like I,
Hmm.
I want them to have known about it before, in elementary school, middle school, high school, all of these things,
Right.
after school programs, wherever it is that you can put the curriculum, put it in, it needs to be there.
It
Um,
needs to be
it needs to
there.
be a part of regular conversation.
Right.
It needs to be a part of American history, you know. So
Because we
yeah,
always talk about the atrocities that's happened toward that in regards to the country's independence.
right.
Like, we can talk about that freely, but why are we not talking about slavery and the process of freedom in that as freely?
Like the internal, stuff. Yeah.
Right. Like, what about within the U.S. now that we have been free since what, 1776? Oh, I'm sorry, independent since 1776.
Right.
It's like, can we now talk about what happened, what we were doing in 1776? What were we doing then? Like, did you free us that day or no? So I do think it's important that we really talk about, Juneteenth. And again, it's a celebration too. It's an acknowledgement of the past, and also it's an acknowledgement of where we are, of what we've done, what we've achieved. So I do like, just like you said, I appreciate now that more people are interested in learning about it, because I think that's the start where, you have people saying, oh, what is Juneteenth? I never heard about it. And I appreciate people humbly saying that.
Yes. Yes.
Like, just coming humbly and saying, I didn't know. And the thing is, I won't blame you for not knowing.
At all. Not at all.
Just ask.
Everybody is learning. Like, nobody.
Everyone is learning.
Information, except John Henry Clark.
Right.
Except John Henry Clark.
He did. He knew everything. I don't know what was going on. He knew everything.
He's the exception. He's the exception. Yeah, so when we think about it, yes, the moment, why Juneteenth comes to be is freedom, it's liberation, celebration. So when we think about celebration, we're thinking about, for example, shout out to Afrocentric Network for this awesome shirt. Like, so to be able for us to wear it, so that when I'm walking on the street, somebody might say, well, what is that? And I would have no problem having a conversation with you about, oh, this is what Juneteenth is. Let me tell you a little bit about it. The fact that TV shows like Blackness, like I said, High on the Hog. There was a movie that came out last year called Misjunting.
I haven't seen that.
Starring Nicole Bahari, that are all talking about it. The TV show Atlanta, these are, shows and episodes that featured and informed and taught us in a different format. So maybe you don't want to get a book. Okay, you're gonna have to eventually get the book get a book. But if you want to start somewhere else, you got a couple of TV shows and movies to spark your interest into this, this great holiday. So
that even shows how TV has transformed.
Yes.
Where there's pride in being Black, and it's shown on TV, and it's celebrated on TV, and it's acknowledged on TV. So looking at TV now versus historically, it's different. You can get this education. Now, I do think, just like you said, get a book. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, come on, like, look at least one book and get it and love it. But I think that, media is also another creative force to really talk about Juneteenth and really celebrate who we are. I have fun watching some of these shows, some of them. But yeah, like, it's really, it's good. Like, I liked the Blackness episode. That was good. I think was it a musical?
It was some kind of musical play, yeah.
Yeah. And that was very informative. So even if you didn't read, you could be informed in that way. And it will pique your interest where, you can Google anything and just Google it and be like, oh my gosh, why was I not celebrating this before?
Exactly. And so, and it's another way of being able to celebrate what this, this, and also to make sure that it stays relevant, that it stays on our lips, that it stays in the universe. Because like you said, we don't want this to be just this hot moment in this right now. We want it to be all the time. We want to talk about next year, year after, 10 years, even when our, a new generation of people come in. It's important that we still keep it, on the pages of the books, on the internet pages, whatever page. It needs
right. We need to be like Juneteenth evangelists. We need to go out and like spread the word. Like Black History evangelists is what we're gonna do.
Exactly. So, so like I said, you have High on the Hog, which talks about Juneteenth from a culinary perspective. So, anytime you got Black people, a holiday, celebrating, food is gonna be there somewhere.
Must.
And it's just the nature of who we are. It is a part of our culture. It is a part of our survival. To have some type of substance. And so you'll see things like, barbecue, soul food, red beans and rice, red velvet cake, watermelon, strawberries. It's been said that strawberry soda or pop, however you say it, is the traditional drink associated with the holiday. Interesting fact there. Fun
Some
fact.
people say it.
It's been said.
I don't recall. I don't know who said it, but I don't recall like strawberry soda being the main, like the drink of choice. No. It's like the leftover soda. Like if you didn't drink, you drank everything else. Then you drink strawberry.
Gotcha. Well, it's got some significance because it's been
Yeah.
built. So obviously, you know, barbecue, we always gonna have barbecue. Like you're never not gonna see barbecue, you know. Soul food, you know, pretty much every holiday where Black
Mhm.
people are involved, it becomes a staple, becomes a focal point of the tradition there. We also see the importance of the color red. So red is very much, you know, a very, as you say, regular color. You're going to see the color red in Juneteenth
Mhm.
always, and for everything, whether it's in the flag, whether it's
Right.
the type of food,
Mhm.
whether it's in, you know, just in its recognition of it, just recognizing it. And, you know, the importance of red being, you know, the bloodshed of the people, or the blood of African Americans and Africans. And so if we look back at like the red, black, and green flag,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
that's the same definition, the same connection there as well too. So we see similarities even across the board in these various African American holidays, what these colors symbolize. So
Right, right. That's absolutely true. Mhm. I think maybe Kool-Aid. I'm still.
listen, you know, I'm gonna ask some folks when my aunt, when she's coming to visit me, I'm gonna be like, okay, so what's the drink in Galveston? What they always talking about, you know, during Juneteenth? Maybe she'll give me some insight. You know, we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah,
Um,
because
yeah. So
I
in
get what you're saying.
right, right. So in continuing with Juneteenth and Black Joy, because this is all
Hmm.
about Black Joy too. Um,
Right.
what are some things that you've heard about as far as the connection of pride and Blackness to Juneteenth? What are some things that you've heard or read about?
Um, One thing it goes back to, and I think you may know of it as well, the Lift Every Voice and Sing,
Yeah.
the Negro National Anthem.
Hmm.
And that is important at many Black events because it acknowledges our status in this country, our history in this country, our pride in who we are, even in this country.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the biggest things that we have done during Juneteenth. Um, Also, I would say even during Juneteenth holidays, you know, I think you mentioned it earlier about vendors,
Yep. Yep.
and then you know selling things that is specifically targeting Black pride and the emphasis on apparel, wearing like you wearing your shirt, Black pride. That to me is a way in which you show we see this pride in Blackness, where we're not shying away from who we are.
Yes.
Um, I think that's a big thing where you see people celebrating Juneteenth with this apparel and lift their every voice and sing, food, all those things.
Hmm.
Because the way we cook, and I think I have not seen, what was it, High on the Hog?
Yeah. Hmm.
I haven't really seen those all the episodes. But you know, food is important. That is a part of pride. You know, your cooking represents who you are. You know,
Yeah.
and you also know when not to cook.
Right. It also leaves a footprint, you know, a long
Yes.
lasting footprint, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
um, some other things that I've heard as far as traditions are particularly in Texas, you know, the rodeos. So you'll see a lot of rodeos connected to Juneteenth.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
said, vendors, street fairs. I
Mm-hmm.
would learn after watching the movie Miss Juneteenth. There's actually like these Miss Juneteenth pageants
Yeah.
or competitions, and I had no idea about that. That was something I was definitely was very much new to me. So these
Mm-hmm.
particular contests, um, you know, the reading of the Emancipation Proclamation. So it's important. Like, yes, we need to, even though this happened January 1, 1863, two in some years, happy years, you know, beforehand, it's important that you still read that because that is a part of my freedom. That is a part of my liberation.
Right.
It's a part of the story.
Yes.
So it's important that that gets recognized and acknowledged. And also heard that people, you know, will read notable works from various African American writers. So Ralph Ellison, Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison,
Mm.
Sojourner Truth. So when you think about it, it speaks once again to this Blackness, this Black joy,
Yeah.
celebrating this pride, all of that. So yeah, those are a few things that I had heard about and would learn, you know, about how people are celebrating pride and
Yeah.
Blackness in regards to Juneteenth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I I want to know. I wonder what's going to happen with COVID and Juneteenth. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's going to be a difference. But I think we already start to celebrate Juneteenth early.
Mhm.
One thing I do think we need to do as well on Juneteenth is to really understand, explain, talk about, discuss the complicated history of the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, yeah.
Because yes, Lincoln did sign the Emancipation Proclamation, but why?
Right.
Like he was not, oh, I just want to free everyone for the sake of freedom. He was really speaking to rebellious states. He wanted to disarm the Confederate Army.
Yep. Yep.
And the thing is, we ended up free, congrats, but we have to still speak and acknowledge the complicated history of surrounding Emancipation Proclamation. Right. And that comes with even our celebration. Yes, we can read the Emancipation Proclamation, but we have to understand why. And we also have to understand, and I'm kind of segueing out of this, the 13th Amendment that happened afterwards. Yes, the Emancipation Proclamation, he realized wasn't strong enough to maintain this freedom post-Civil War. So then we had the signing of the 13th Amendment. But this 13th Amendment, yes, slavery ended, except for, in regards to crime or criminal activity if you are jailed. So then you have convict leasing. So again, all this is tied together. Even as we celebrate our freedom, we have to understand how it generated another system that led to, our freedoms being lost in multiple ways, even at that time. So I just think that, it's important to acknowledge the complicated history of our freedom.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to recognize all angles: the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. The creative, everything, in order to really truly get the full picture. And so it's important to acknowledge all the pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, so that you can get a full understanding. As you mentioned, with the Emancipation Proclamation, this wasn't, unfortunately, we were not the priority. We kind of became, oh, okay, well, if we can get this also, well, sure, let's do that.
Right, why not?
Yeah, go ahead. If we can make that happen, yeah, perfect. Yes, absolutely. And because in the end, when you think about it, we still in a way have freedom of mind. Freedom.
Right.
We're gonna always still celebrate who we are. We're gonna always still celebrate, Black folks and Black people, even if others want to shackle us, imprison us, and feel like they're taking something away. You can take away maybe the physical form, but you can't take away the mental. You can't take away what actually is still here.
Right.
You may try to shackle my body, as they say, but you can't take everything else. So,
and even as we protest systems, you still see how joy comes in that. Like while we were protesting, I think it was in Atlanta where they were doing the electric slide during the protest.
Exactly.
So, and the police joined in, like, bet, let's go. So it's like, different ways in which who we are and our creativity and our joy still pops through. And so even Juneteenth, and yes, it's about acknowledging a sad past, but it's also about recognizing that look at where we are. And even in the midst of protesting and things like that, the fact that we still are like, okay, we need to feed our protesters, we need to dance with our protesters, celebrating the protest, even that joy can come out of that, especially as things change. So it's a celebration of where we are and where we can go.
Yes, and knowing that resistance can be joy.
Yes,
I've heard that said, but we don't say it enough. That resistance can be just as much of a pushback, but it can also be as much of a thing of joy, because it's a reclamation in a sense. It's taking back what is ours and what should be ours, and which leads me to think there is no one way to celebrate Juneteenth. No. There is no, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. I think just this simple fact of making its existence known is probably the universal celebration, is acknowledging it. And then what do we do after that? That's when celebrations just go all over. And you could think of anything. It can, I'm seeing people bringing it into their jobs. I'm seeing people, like I said, in the schools. We're seeing the, outdoor activities. So it can be celebrated anywhere and everywhere.
Right, in many different ways.
Yeah, it's not just in one central location that we have to acknowledge it and look at it. So
right, I absolutely agree. And I think, again, I like the fact that just like with protesting, you can protest in different ways. I mean, celebrating Juneteenth can happen in multiple ways. And I think, even going back to the conversation on joy,
Yeah.
joy is resistance. When someone takes your joy, they have power over you. You have to find ways to maintain your happiness, your peace. Peace is joy.
It
So
is.
even that is resistance. When someone is saying that, oh, why are you so happy? Why are you this way? That is my life, and that's me living, and that's me resisting oppression in my own way. That's the way in which I'm still surviving. That's how I celebrate my Juneteenth, by celebrating my joy and not letting anyone rob me of something that I am entitled to, that's innate to me in my human nature. And so I think
Election plate, girl, you preaching a word.
it's real life, because you will have people try to steal your joy.
Yeah.
But when you come to them like, my joy is mine, I own my joy, and you can't take it from me, that is resistance. Because that is how power is wielded against taking your happiness. In multiple ways too, but don't let people take your happiness. On this day in Juneteenth, yeah, we may not be able to go out and do whatever, but be joyful. We are here in this moment. Yes, we're still fighting these different systems, but we are still here in this moment. We recognize our humanity by smiling, by being happy, by doing things that we love. Yeah, I could be out in the street doing all this other stuff, but today I'm going to watch a movie, and then I'm going to sleep. I'm going to eat a cinnamon bun. I'm going to do everything I need to do because that makes me happy on today. Okay, I'm going to be relaxed. Okay, 8 hours of sleep. That's joy. Okay, thank you. Recognize.
Yeah.
Just had to throw it out there.
Ooh, what do I say after that? What do I say after that?
Just be happy. That's what. Be great. I have on a be great shirt.
That's right. Be great, be happy, be joyful, all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so what else? Oh, gotta make sure we throw in about the Juneteenth flag. So something else that I would learn about. So this is some new knowledge that I got. So it comprises of red, white, and blue fabric, which may be similar to another flag, which I'm gonna get to. Hold on, don't I got you, I'm coming. So it was created in 1997 by the founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation, Ben Haith. And so, yes, it has the exact same colors as the United States flag, red, white, and blue. And this was very intentional. And it was meant to show that formerly enslaved folks and their descendants are free Americans too. So it's like, you know what, guess what? We're going to take those colors too. We're going to make our own flag. And what? What you gonna say about it?
Right. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Enjoy and see what we do. And so,
yes, fly high.
On this flag, there is the arc, which symbolizes, and this is coming from the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation site. The arc is symbolizing a new horizon, meaning fresh opportunities and promising futures for Black Americans. See, I'm already liking this. This is already good. The star is not only a nod to the Lone Star State of Texas, where Juneteenth was first celebrated, but it also stands for the freedom of every Black American in all 50 states. So maybe all 50 states don't acknowledge, but guess what? All 50 states, there's the freedom of all Black Americans in each of these states.
Yes.
And then you have the burst, which is the outline surrounding the star and is meant to reflect a nova or a new star, which represents a new beginning for all. See, we just even looking at that and thinking about that, this whole new horizons, fresh opportunities, a star for freedom, the North Star. We think about the North Star and,
yes, exactly.
And then this idea of a nova, a reflecting of a new star, new beginnings. So in a way, Juneteenth, it celebrates a new beginning for Black Americans. It celebrates a newfound freedom. It celebrates a new peace of mind, a new reason to celebrate. Yes. I think, that the flag, that's very apropos as far as who we are as Black folks. Like, we're always constantly making sure that there are new promising futures for those who come after us.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that the legacy continues, that the promise is still there, that the new beginnings are still reflecting. So I like that. That was.
And I think, I wish I knew about that. I wish that, I'm glad that you brought this up, because I think it's important to talk about, because this whole new and this rebirthing, this this future. We need to start, because right now, and this is something that happens. We are in this moment of trials, especially in regards to racial tension in this country, where there's attack on everything in regards to race. We need to also make sure that, and this is a part of even maintaining your joy, that there's a future for us.
That's right.
We can never forget that there's a future for us. So we may be in this moment, but there is us beyond this moment.
Yep.
So even as we fight today, we're going to be here tomorrow.
That's right.
And we must never forget that. So this flag to me is huge, because it's like, yeah, we are constantly rebirthing. Yes, today may have been hard. Yeah, I may have been on the street. Yes, I may have been arguing with someone about if racism exists or whatever, but I'm still here.
That's right.
And so let me get some barbecue and celebrate with my family, because I still need to eat, and I'm going to have me some barbecue while you try to steal my joy and keep me in this moment. But we can't afford to stay in this moment. Mm-hmm. Yes, I understand us being in this moment, of course, but never forget that we are in the future.
That's right. That's right.
So be mindful of that.
So let me ask you this. What does Juneteenth look like now? And what will it look like, since we're talking about the future? What will it look like in the future?
I think now, I feel like Juneteenth has undergone a rebirth.
Yeah.
I see more of an acknowledgement, meaning like if I was to bring up Juneteenth maybe like 3 years ago, people were like, yeah, okay, cool.
Right.
But now it's like, oh yeah, Juneteenth, we're going to have stuff on TV. We're going to do all this stuff. We're going to really acknowledge it. We're going to have fun. I see it more as the time goes. Yes. I think in the future, with this new generation especially, and us really emphasizing it, especially to our students and friends and their children and things like that, I think it's going to become a big event. And I really think it will become a national holiday, something that we can really, really observe. And I think this acknowledgement would be via media, it'd be via, same thing we just talked about, attire. It would be in the history books. It would be a hard fought war to get that to happen. Right. But I really feel like with the push of Black people saying we're not going to give up on who we are and our freedoms, and we see ourselves in our future, I see it becoming like a big event.
Yes.
Like I know there's a national organization that celebrates it, but I can see it being a big event.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of continuous fighting to make sure that it becomes a national holiday. I do see that it will happen. I'm hopeful in that, because just the simple fact that it's being recognized now, I never thought it would even get to like this point.
Right.
I'm very hopeful that it will get to a point where it is recognized nationally, and even maybe internationally, to where other people outside of the U.S. will talk about it. Will put it in their books. Will mention it. Will bring attention to it, because it in a way it can be something international.
Right.
I think it will be continuous efforts to talk about it in media. Right. Mm-hmm. I definitely will see with this new generation of technology and the way that they're bringing stuff out, like there's going to be new innovative ways of how we talk about Juneteenth.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be like a TikTok on Juneteenth in a minute. Yeah. Soon.
Right. We're going to be seeing more outfits. We're going to be seeing more t-shirts. We're going to be seeing more designs. We're going to be seeing just a lot. There's going to be an overflowing of it. And even after June 19th, I feel like we're still it's going to be brought back up again in July when July 4th happens. Because
you'll be like
people that remember. I will. I'm going to be one of those that's going to remind people like, no, that's not my holiday. It's not my holiday.
Now we're going to get together with family because everyone has days off. So we're going to get together because we all are technically off that day or that weekend or something. We have to barbecue now. That's a requirement. Right. But it's not celebrating Independence Day because we were absolutely not independent.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be different creative, innovative ways that we don't even know yet, that don't even have a name yet, that are going to be attached to Juneteenth. And it's definitely going to have not only a national consciousness like it has now, but it's going to definitely have an international. I just look forward to, in my time here on this great earth, seeing how it unfolds and what happens, with it.
Absolutely. And I want to add, because I think you can already see the changes like we talked about, where, before growing up, we were Black, but our celebration of Blackness wasn't the same.
Yeah.
like it wasn't the way it is now. Like now I'll wear these earrings and I don't care about any type of stereotypes that may come because it's a celebration of who I am. Like it is who I am. My name, even having issues with my name at one point when I'm like, but this is my mama gave me this name and this is a nod to my history, a nod to my past, So having these things now where we feel more affirmed in our identity, you can already see this transformation where you see young Black kids and, people who have big lips or darker skin feeling like, oh, but I'm cute.
Thank you.
So, like that, we see that change, something that we didn't have before, where we're starting to appreciate our nuances and Blackness. And even acknowledging how our culture has been taken multiple times. There has been like an open acknowledgement now. It's like, oh, you love, for example, Elvis? Okay, so that's cute. So you must love all these Black artists,
right?
So I mean, even that, and having those conversations, those honest conversations in the media, on TikTok, younger generation are like, we would use social media to tell you this is wrong. Like, it's a guy, I think he's on TikTok. He's at college, but he's saying he does a TikTok about how white teenagers or something on TikTok has used Black culture to become famous. He does like he's starting to really acknowledge and recognize that he has a huge following. And so even that is not necessarily saying that no one's to take our stuff, but it's acknowledging that look at us, like we are good enough, we are great, we are more than enough. And I really appreciate that, where it's like, yes, we were told to doubt ourselves and present ourselves in new and different ways that was unlike ourselves, while other cultures were taking who we are and then using it and making money off of it. Cultural appropriation, cultural appropriation. But we said, well, you know what? We are good enough. So we're good now. And so I think we have moved away from this kind of emphasis on respectability politics to get higher and, have some type of social ascendancy and say we are great enough.
Yep.
We are more than enough. And so again, that's why you see more people calling out problems of racism, cultural appropriation, things like that, because again, at one point we were told we weren't good enough. And now we acknowledge that we have always been great. And I think Juneteenth falls right into that line of, oh, but we're going to celebrate our holiday because this affirms our identity and this is who we are. So, and we are equal to this Independence Day that y'all chose was independence because y'all was free from Britain. Congrats. But we weren't. But if we're going to acknowledge and appreciate who we are with our big lips, our skin, our hair, our bodies, then we have to acknowledge our past. So let's celebrate Juneteenth and be proud of who we are and celebrate it. So yeah.
And in whatever way you all choose to celebrate, in whatever way, whether it's gathering with your friends, whether it's, sitting down with your community, whether it is watching, having a movie night, whether it's sitting down with your coworkers and talking about the importance of the holiday, or just, talking about the importance of why we celebrate our Blackness. The fact that I can actually, have regular conversations about how I feel good about who I am and the skin that I'm, we have to keep that going. We have to keep that feeling and that energy alive. And so, we hope that this offers an opportunity for you all to spark some conversations, for you all to inform maybe someone or to pass on, some jewels and nuggets of knowledge.
Yes.
Just in the same way that things were passed on to us and we're hoping to pass to you. It's just been, I'm excited about this Juneteenth, as I will be every other that comes after. And I'm just so glad to be able to have these dialogues and these conversations and be able to feel good about it. I say, a feeling good, conversation. And it's nothing that, you can't beat being able to have this free flowing, conversation and make sure that we acknowledge and recognize the importance of this day, June 19th. So I say, whatever you choose to do, whoever you choose to do it with, just make sure you get that time in. Make sure you get that celebrating in. Make sure you feel good about what you're doing. Make sure you embody that joy wherever it is that you get it from.
As
they say, don't let anybody steal your joy.
Don't let anybody steal your joy, because they'll try. but they won't win. Don't let them steal your joy. Take it back. If you get too stressed out, you better go do something you love. Do something you like. Go hang out with some people. Take time for you, but don't let them steal your joy, because this is a day of celebration of who we are. We love ourselves. We are happy that we are here. And again, yes, I'm not ignorant of everything that's going on, but let's be happy that we are in this moment. And let's share this with people we love. And even if that person you love is yourself, share with yourself. Do something for yourself. If you're like, I can't go around everyone right now, I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to watch the best movie of my life. And just do that for yourself. But again, don't let anyone steal your joy. Enjoy yourself.
Oh, that's all. So, woo! So I think we lit the match here with this
Yes, you did. Yes,
first episode, and we look forward to you all tuning in next time. We're gonna do some sonic curation because it is also Black Music Month. So we want y'all to make sure you tune back in with us again later this month as we talk about the sonic sounds of some great Black music, folks. Get some good music, some good songs, some everything. We're gonna be continuing the celebration of Black joy and song. I remember, call somebody up on Juneteenth, send a text message, do a Zoom call, whatever it is you got to do. We just hope that you get your celebration on just in the same way as we will, and save a plate for us too. We might come by and get something from you.
Yes. I do like my barbecue a certain way, so make sure you make your own barbecue. Just why.
Red velvet cake, I'm there.
Don't like red velvet. Just pound cake works. A good icing would be excellent, just so you know.
Okay. All right, y'all. So till the next time, we'll see y'all later, and y'all have a great one. Enjoy your Juneteenth.
Enjoy.
Juneteenth, y'all.
Happy Juneteenth. Bye, everyone.